Hi there, welcome to AMP. This is a recap of what's happened with AMP in the month of March. So we're going to go through a lot of the things and the components that we go through each month on AMP, including the 4 weeks that we've just finished. So we're just going to go over a couple of things with that. So the beginning of the AMP session usually is led by questions and answers, if we have any this week. And we had a really good, compelling one. I wanted to bring that one up. Let's see if I can. I'm not going to screen share it, but I'm definitely going to read it. So let's see if I can find it. Is this it here? Nope. Hold on 1 second. It really is, well, I'll tell you as I'm looking for it what it's about. It's about just finding out what you really want to do in your next steps of what you'd like to accomplish, or maybe you're rethinking your path that you've had. And I thought this was really good because a lot of people either kind of go through this process where you've been in a career for a while and you realize it's not your thing, or you've gone through school and you put yourself through school, which is a huge accomplishment on its own, and then at the end of it you sort out, oh, it's not really what I want to get into. I'm not really interested in this field. I've studied it to death, but I actually want to move on to something. And how do you start from that? Where do you go from that? So that is a quick intro on this particular question. So this is from Jessie, who's new in the community. She is a member of AMP in the Auckland, New Zealand area, which is really cool. And she has 2 quick questions. Let's see. Let me read them now. Okay, so number 1, when I talked to you previously, you said that you were fired from your job. How did you get from where you are now? Can you please fill me in? Okay, so I was fired from a startup company that really took off very quickly. And what they wanted to do was position themselves for a buyout. And they needed to get rid of people in their, I guess, their first rung staff where they felt they were being paid too much. So I was one of them. And with the severance pay that I got, I started my own company. And it was word of mouth. It was people that I worked with in the office that actually helped me get my first job, which was really great, in consultancy. So it really was about meeting anybody and everybody for coffee as a consultant and a freelancer in the beginning, just to see where they were at. I told them exactly what I did, and I did digital media, digital PR, marketing PR, and I help small businesses create a voice. And at the time, no one knew exactly how social media was going to pan out. I did know, because it was starting to take off and people were around me were starting to see that it was taking off, that it became the new 1-800 number for customer service. So with that said, how do you harness that in a really positive way? And a lot of people were afraid of it. They still are. Of positioning themselves in marketing online. And I really made that transition very easy. It also became, especially when I worked with women, I realized that it was not only just a service that we provided, but to be really effective, it also had to be about career coaching. So I naturally went into a lot of I do have a bit of coaching and training past or previous experience in that. So I started implementing what I knew in terms of filtering out what resonated well with clients. And I did particular steps. When I started doing that for bigger clients, I also realized that the people that really resonated with that were female entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that were just trying to get something off the ground. Maybe they already had a business and they were building it, but this was something that was seriously amazing for a lot of people. So that developed a program called Hustle and Glow, and it was a mentorship program. I mentored some women that were starting their business or already had a business and was really wanting to expand what they were doing. And it was based on what they desired, which is a really new, exciting place to tell women that you can actually create a business based on what you desire is really scary, but really exciting. And you just want to peek in just to see what the process was. So that is sort of the version of how it started. It kept on building. I will say, in hindsight, had I known that I was going to start my own company, I would have started a little bit earlier, and while I was working at a corporate job. I think that that would have really helped, you know, made the transition easier. But there's nothing like being in the deep end of the water and really just swimming up to the surface and making sure that things are happening. So there's a lot of hustle. There's a lot of glowing moments in it. And that's kind of how Hustle and Glow started. It was about my journey on how to become an entrepreneur that was for me. So, and there's years of that was an overnight success because it did take a while to build. I'm not going to say it was an overnight success at all. So it was a definite process. I've opened my company in 2015, so we're in our 5th year now. We've had sustainability for quite a while, which I'm very excited to say. It's been amazing, an amazing trip. But I will say this though: anytime I feel like I want to start a new project, I still get those butterflies and tingles and wanting to do it because it's amazing. It's scary. It's beautiful. It's everything. It's life. It's what everything in life is, you know. So, but I can wax on poetically about that forever. So it did take a lot of time to really build it. I want to really stress that out because a lot of the romanticism about entrepreneurship is that it happens overnight and you know, I'm going to quit my job and we're starting tomorrow and there's nothing in place. And I want to put that out there that's probably not the way to go. If you do it, you know, please make sure that people around you that are going to support you know that you're doing this high wire act and that you may need support. Question 2, as you know, I don't like my career right now. It feels like I can't breathe. But how can I get out? Where do I even start? I don't think corporate lifestyle suits my personality trait. And she mentioned 16personalities.com, which is kind of floating around the internet right now in terms of what personality type you are, which is a really cool site. I want to start my own business, but I don't really know what I want to do. Where do you suggest I start? Okay, so that actually is a really good place to start, is to figure out what type of personality you are. And then we'll go back to that question a little bit. I want to really just break down your question here, especially the part where you said you can't breathe. Wow, that was really resonating for me. I actually had to kind of get a wake-up call for me to know that the place that I was working off, the place where I got my, you know, was laid off and got my severance package from, I landed up in the emergency room because I was so stressed out, hated that place at the end, could not stand it. There was people in that office that were very toxic. It was a toxic environment, and literally strong things were having me be pulled out of that direction. You know, if you think of a universal truth, it definitely was power of attraction. I think it was just pulling me out of there in any means necessary. And I think that it's really important to pay attention to that you can't breathe. For me, little things that helped was putting in my earphones in the cubicle and listening to podcasts that had to deal with business. And that really helped soothe me and get through the day, especially with all the nonsense that was floating around my head. And I was right in this stupid pod of cubicles where the walls were really low, so you can actually see people over. There was no privacy. It was awful setup where the higher staff members were behind you in glass offices. It was awful. It's bad. And that really helped me get through the day because you had no privacy. There was always somebody at your back. There was a lot of traffic, and I was able to just kind of cancel out the office when I put in my earplugs and I was listening to business podcast or anything like that. It just soothed and calmed me. So first thing I want to say to you is to meditate. Do that every 5 minutes if you had to. No, do it for 5 minutes in the morning. You will naturally go longer and longer, but the first thing you want to do is set your intention. If you drive into work, I used to drive in from Pasadena to West Hollywood, which was about an hour drive. I would intentionally put in CDs in my car that were, or an MP3 player that played anything that had to do with business or the kind of life I wanted to lead. So definitely you want to set up your space around you for success. You want to be able to have a calm space in place. And for me, a lot of the time was my iPhone. You know, plugging in the earphones, listening to MP3s that I downloaded to that really helped soothe me to get to that transition. Also, drinking lots of water, making sure that you have enough amount of protein during the day. It's and the cool thing is that this person that wrote the letter, the question, what is living in New Zealand. So New Zealand has a different lifestyle here at work. You can definitely see people on their lunch break. I remember in Wellington too, it was amazing. Everybody just came out of their office and they started walking around the harbor. I would encourage you, and it's not weird, and in the States, it's weird that you would not be at your desk eating a sandwich, working through your lunch. Here, it's a healthier lifestyle where you can get out when you need to. You can even, if you need a meeting, encourage that meeting to be a walking meeting. I mean, those are really effective if you're walking around the neighborhood and you're, you know, taking notes and just doing that. So do anything and everything to get out of the office, even if it means making up meetings. If you go on your lunch break, you know, for you to walk, it clears your head. You get to just blow off all the cobwebs, do all of that. So the first part of that, you know, the answer is to definitely make sure that you are healthy and strong and happy and your well-being is good. Let's see what other question that you had in here. How can you get out? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in here. In early of this year, I made this really great article about getting self, you know, you're ready for promotion. You need to make steps to put yourself in terms of a promotion, or maybe you want to leap out of your current job and go into one that really, you know, resonates with you. Jesse, I think I told you about a story where I was listening to a business podcast and there was a woman who was in accounting, and she went to Adrian Vittadini, which is a New York fashion house, and she became an accountant there, but she really wanted to be in the fashion industry, and that was her first step. So think about things that really, and I'm talking scary, happy moments. So if you think like, okay, I am in, you know, I'm a dentist and I really, really want to step into something that's totally different. Like I want to be a carpenter. I can really imagine and I understand how the construction of beautiful furniture should be, and I know I can do it. I've done a few pieces. I know I'm talented, and I just went to dentistry school, and now I want to be a carpenter. So what are some of the things that you can do to get to that transition? You need a blog. You need to show your work. You need to also, on your LinkedIn profile, you need to also look and shift that expertise from dentistry to carpentry, and you want to be able to have relevant articles that actually support that. You want to be able to promote that thought in theory on Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, anything that you can have a visual connection with and gain followers. That's where you want to go. In New Zealand and Australia, there's a show called The Block, where they do a lot of different interior design shows. So, or even a series. So I would start following people that follow that. If I wanted to be a carpenter and I wanted to show off my work, I would go into that realm. So think about the space where you want to go. We haven't had a lot of conversation of what you would like to do. It is a process, and I will tell you, since you are so young in your 20s, it would be so great for you to do this journey instead of somebody who waits into their mid-30s and do it, because I will tell you, it's more painful. It's a great journey still, but it's much more painful to do when you're older. If you do it now, the transition will be great. Don't worry about your family members. Sometimes they're not going to understand, but if they see that you're thriving and happy and you are making an income, it might not be in the space where they wanted you to be, but overall for your health, your well-being, your fulfillment in life is all about you. Your family will catch on. Sometimes it takes longer than others, but they will. Let's see if we can follow up with any of that part of that question. Where do I even start? So we have in Auckland, New Zealand, a wonderful meetup group. It's Women Who Amp, and not this particular meetup that's happening on the 2nd, but the one that's following. We're actually going to go into honing in on exactly what you want to do. So what I would do is encourage you to go to that one. I'll give you more details with it, but we're going to see if we resonate and vibe with what we're wanting to do right now. And a lot of that has to do with visualization techniques and envisioning where you want to be. So there's more to come with that. I think that that'll be also a really good follow-up on Google Hangout to see how that works out, and I can share the findings from that group there too. Not personal findings, just overall how we did the technique, but there are techniques actually that will help you get to that space where you can know where to start, know where you want to go. If you don't want to go into that corporate lifestyle, I am telling you, you don't have to. You don't. It's about that space about being a freelancer and going into the corporate world. And my husband and I actually always have battles with that because he's a corporate guy and I'm not a corporate person at all. And it took years for him to understand that I'm that visionary type person. I'm going to create my own career and my own path, and that's it. So, and that changes too. I can't say that, you know, I started off with a PR consultancy. Now it's turned out to be something bigger than that, and there's a lot more to come. And that's the great thing about having your own business, is that it could move with your desires. It could move with what you really want to do. So that's one other thing I definitely want to put out there for you. Let's see. See if we answered the question fully. Don't really know what I want to do. Where do you suggest you start? Okay, so yeah, going back to that, we're definitely going to do some envisioning work in I would say about 3 weeks or so in AMP, Auckland, Women Who Amp. So we're going to envision that a little bit more with you and give you the support that you need, which would be incredible. But I want you to start thinking and just daydreaming about, if you could envision your life in 2 to 3 years, what would the perfect lifestyle be? And a lot of the time it's really surprising of what you pull out of it. But even think of yourself as you know, a real quick guide that I do with a lot of the people that I do breakthrough calls with when we start our work together is I have them close their eyes, and I guide them through a meditation where they really are calm with themselves and their well-being, and being rest assured in the actual result. And once you start to feel what that result is, I have money in the bank, I feel good, I have my own place. Then you start to elaborate with that, you know, on those thoughts, like, okay, I have my own place, but where do I live? What's around me? Do I own or rent? Am I in the city that I want to be in? What is that city? So you start thinking almost like you're reverse engineering your life in terms of what the surroundings are, and expanding on that just a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, so you're going to start your work week now. What does that look like? Are you online processing your orders, or are you walking into an office or a store? So you're reverse engineering what those thoughts are. Where are you going? How are you cashing in those sales, or how are you cashing in those checks from you know, corporations that have hired you? What is it that you do? And it could be crazy. Like, what if you wanted to be a child, you know, a person that writes children's books, and you really love the illustration part of that, and you know, you started that journey as someone in finance. Think about And don't question about, just think about the feelings that you really want with that. What would make you excited to wake up during the middle of the day, wake up in the morning, and what can you attack in the middle of the day? Do you have a 9-to-5 position? Do you have a 12 to 4 position? Think about even the hours that you're working in. Think about all of the things that feel good around you when you're starting your work week. Who are you connecting with? Are you meeting up with friends during the week for lunch? Are you cutting out early in the office to meet somebody that you're going to have a date with? Are you meeting the girls for drinks? What are you doing? What makes you happy? Are you cutting out at 2 o'clock because you're going to start to train for that 5K that's happening next month? Think about what you really want to do with and start adding that to your business. It's called the business lifestyle. A lot of the people in the US are doing it. UK and Australia are starting to understand what it means to have that business lifestyle. Women are not created just to follow one path. The cool thing is we're able to kind of just, in the juxtaposition of it all, we can change and adapt. We're really adaptable. But we've also found out in the US that we're not treated equal in pay. So what if we took that element out and we started to get paid what we wanted by charging what we wanted to pay? It's a really great, it's one of my favorite topics of all times because I've been through the journey myself. You know, a lot of us have a set dollar amount of what we really want to. I'm going to challenge people to go a little bit higher because women actually return that investment more than men. So if we could get women to actually earn more, the economy actually would strengthen. But that's another conversation. It's definitely another Oprah. And I want to thank you so much for this question because it's one of my favorite poetic ways to go when it comes to the conversation of entrepreneurship. I was very lucky. I am very lucky to know you, and I know that you're extremely intelligent. You have a lot going on for yourself, and you are at the steering wheel of your career and your path of what you want to do. So thank you so much for this question. And we'll definitely check back to see how you're doing, and if I could share some of the results, I'd love to do that with the group as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to screen share, and what we're going to screen share is the AMP module. Sorry for the noise in the background. I am in they call the CBD district of Auckland. So you're going to hear some things out there. I'm actually going to be moving this office. I'm taking the office down and the place that I live, and we're going to move a couple blocks down the street. We're going to change it. This current location has people jumping off of the building, so you might hear some screaming from time to time because Kiwi's like to bungee jump. So that'll be really interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and check out AMP. All right, so here we go. Here's AMP, and this is a membership site that you can log in and get the credentials. But before that, I'm going to share with people that want to check it out. I believe it's up until tomorrow. Let me turn my little ringer off on my little phone. It's just going off every 2 seconds. Okay. So this is the email that AMP members get. And this week we're talking about autoresponders on week 4. We have your login details here. We also show you and give you a link if you missed any of the previous modules or you just want to explore some stuff that we've talked about this year so far. You can go to the core sections area of the membership site to look or download any of it. This is a recap of what we've been doing this month in March from week 1 to week 3. This is an introduction to week 4. Okay, so that's something that you get on Wednesdays. You get this cool email sent to you, and again, you would log in here, and this is a login page. This particular section here, when you push play, will actually give you a tour of the entire website, which is pretty cool. So you're never left alone on your own devices and figuring it out. The website itself is pretty intuitive, but you may want to, get a little bit more of a tour in the beginning for sure. We're going to do a mini tour today too as well. So we're on the home page now. We talked about the core sessions. The core sessions are where all of the previous modules from AMP from this year are, that's where they live, including December. We have December for you too. So we have all of that information here. And if whenever you join, it doesn't matter because you'll be able to actually catch any of the previous modules just by clicking on them here, below. Resources. Resources is an area where you can go in, maybe you want to listen to previous calls or guided meditations. They're all here for you, and they're just, you can just read and go ahead and open them up and listen or download any of them at any time. This is the cool area, the bonus content. I always encourage this, and actually this is one of my selling points to the AMP program. This will show you how to create infographics. Infographics for your company, which is pretty cool. I can't say more than that. Actually, I don't think I can share the ones that I just created this past weekend, but they're pretty cool. You're going to see them on all of my social networks very soon, which is something that you should do. Also, let's do something here. Since we're talking about infographics, this is something that has been very impactful for us. Now on Twitter here in particular, what we have been seeing a trend in the last, I want to say 6 to 8 months, is that more and more people are actually using images in their Twitter stream. Now what happens? Why are they doing that? Well, what happens is that when you're going down and you're looking at your screen and you see something that's really interesting or compelling, you might stay there and you might read the article. So a lot of my clients, and the directions I'm going with my clients in particular, is I'm showing them how to do that, or if they signed up for my consultancy thing, this is exactly what we do. So here's some, we mentioned AMP in Auckland. That's one of the events that we do. But I do post videos and infographics to really show that cause. Oh, this is one of the infographics that I just created here. So they're going to be a little bit more personal. Obviously, right, if I'm quoting myself. So there's a lot of great ways that you can do that. I think that in the fashion and in the beauty industry, we're seeing a lot more of this. Actually, this is a really good look on that one. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, I can go on and on, but I just want you to show you how it's being a little bit more innovative. I think that Elle magazine in particular is doing really well in the fashion and the beauty industry and showing images. So that's something that I wanted to share with you. That's going to become more and more relevant. So this is why I think that you should really take advantage of this area. We do update it from time to time. This is due for an update. So we will be adding more content to this as we go on. The community button will take you to the Facebook group. Support will auto-populate an email to give to me if you have any questions for me or my team. The AMP sessions are right here, and that's the weekly sessions we were talking about previously. The AMP Backstage Pass will give you access to my podcast on iTunes. It'll give you access like this particular AMP session. We're actually going to apply it here. So you'll be able to view any of the past AMP sessions. Live group AMP session schedules are usually here as well. One-on-one session. This is great. So if you're an AMP member, you're able to book one-on-one time with me anytime you like. So what I do is I donate hours to this group, and once that schedule is up, and it is up right now, by the way, you can book time with me and we can talk about whatever you're working on, or if you need to push through a block, you know, this is a great place for you to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and open in the first week. The first week here, we're just going to, let's see, we're going to download it. And it's a PDF that's hyperlinked, actually. And this talks about sales. So we're going to talk about sales cycle in the first week. Sales cycles, there's a lot of different things that people do in terms of sales cycles. It's not just about launching a product and then selling it and keep on tweeting it. You know, it's a little bit more than that. So what you want to do is you want to put a lot of careful thought. In retail, what they do before the year, in October, September, October, they start having conversations about mapping out their next year. So if you think about mapping out your next 12 months and sales cycles, this will help you get along a little further. And one way to do that sometimes, and just to get an idea, is like, well, how do I do that? I don't understand how I would do that. Look at editorial calendars from people that resonate with you. So maybe if you are a real estate agent and you are going to be pitching tours that you're going to be doing for neighborhoods, you may want to be able to do an editorial calendar on certain neighborhoods that you cover. The cool thing about doing something like that and having it prepared in advance is that you can recycle that material if you have to for the following year, or even update it. Putting the visual of your product in front of somebody's vision is very important. It's also very important to create an infographic that will resonate with that type of feeling. So this particular thing is, no matter what you're going to sell, whether it's jewelry or accessories or anything, you want to be able to scope out how the next 12 months sales are going to be. How is that going to resonate with your readers? And in this particular PDF, is that you can actually click and see a couple of videos regarding that particular segment. Week 2 is great because this talks about your online presence with simple SEO. It's really informative. It's all about, a lot of people are like, oh, SEO is a little difficult. I mean, you definitely can have a virtual assistant do it. But the thing about assigning things to virtual assistants or interns, you want to make sure that you have the crux of the actual ideology before you assign it. So this is why this is a powerful way to really get involved in your business without over-tiring yourself and doing so much. The cool thing about AMP is that it supports you. The membership program will support you and your virtual assistant. So you can also share this PDF or the actual site. I mean, literally, where do I have? I don't think I think I erased it, but that little email, you can go ahead and forward it to your teammate for sure, so they can read along with you and see what's going on. There's also a video that's embedded in here. It tells you a little bit more about everything. This is so good, because what happens sometimes, and I think what's happened with a lot of my clients as well, the fashion and beauty industry is a very competitive place. So a lot of them check out to see what the other does for marketing. And with that, because of that industry, it can be a little, in your face. So a lot of the times what I do is I recommend, don't worry about what your colleagues think. Just do what resonates with you, because at the end of the day, they're not buying your stuff. Real people are. So if you connect with real people, that's where it's at. So I want to remind you of that too. Think about what resonates, forget everybody else, and that will also help determine what your SEO is going to be. It is about almost like beating the drum of your anthem, just continuously. Whatever that is, whatever that message is uniquely you. And with all of the noise that's happening out there and that expansive and growing internet noise, how can you stand out from the rest? It really is about beating your own drum. And with that, you need to use those keywords in SEO on your blog, your website, anything that has to do with you. So sometimes you do have a little bit of a block talking about what you're all about. Some more videos and actionables for you to do and help you through those steps. This is awesome. Blogging strategy. In fact, if you are in Auckland, New Zealand, our Women Who AMP are actually going to be studying this live on April 2nd at 7 p.m. If you want to know a little bit more about that, we'll go to, let's go now, shall we? Since we're talking about it so much, let me just introduce you to, introduce you guys to that particular live meetup. It's Auckland Female Entrepreneurs, Women Who AMP. The blogging strategy is there for what is, blogging strategy is there for a reason, I can't even talk. Blogging strategy is there a reason for one. There you go. So that is a topic. The cool thing is that there's a lot of awesome women that are going to be attending, and you can be a part of a community, and we can do all of this live together. So I want to encourage and invite you to that. I will keep this link in the bottom of the video as well, so you guys can check it out if you're in Auckland. Awesome. If you are, I'd love to meet you and talk a little bit more about AMP and what we do. All of these particular meetups are free, which I'm very happy to say. So they're there to support that female entrepreneur. We're going to be talking about the blogging strategy in that one. So let's go ahead and open that up. Blogging strategy. Okay, so in this material that I'm giving you here, this is going to talk about step-by-step on what you can do in terms of your blogging strategy. How does it relate to your website? How can you pull back people from social media to come back and actually read your blog? Now, why is that so important? Why do you want to get people back on your website? Because each website has a rating. You want to get your rating to be as high up as possible. It will give you an overall good grade to your website. It will also encourage not only likability from your community, but a trust factor that it's been there a while, it's been resonating really well with people in your community. You want to do as much as possible to get them on there and also keep them on there as long as possible. That will also bring up your rating higher. In here, we talk a little bit more about that. There is videos here. And there are actionables also there. There is a lot to cover here. It's really cool. I definitely want to encourage the people that are in Auckland, the women are AMP. There are a really good supportive group, and you can talk amongst the other women in terms of strategy. So that one is definitely something that you should attend. Also, too, if you are doing this virtually and you need more support, remember, you can also go to that one-on-one session right where the bottom box where the AMP Backstage Pass is. If you ever need any help with any of this and you need to talk to me, you can do so just by pressing here. Autoresponders, one of my favorite topics. I'm all about systems. We talk about that when we implement systems with your virtual assistant, but you also need to really get out of the doing of things as a business owner and start offering it in a way where it's really like an autoresponder, auto-generated sort of thing that you don't have to put your hands into. So I have an image here of, what would you like to do? Would you like to answer emails or do something like this? So think about what your pleasure is all about. Think about that. The more you're in sync with what your pleasure is, the faster you're going to go to the next step. It just works that way. So and I love this quote, if your sole intention is to make sure that there is pleasure before business, you are on something effing genius. It's true. Because the more that you are absolutely in touch with what makes you happy, what the things around you are. And I love lovely, pretty things. I feel like Jennifer Saunders and AbFab. You know, I want to surround myself with lovely, pretty things. But I do. I love that stuff. I also love images of a lovely bed. Anything that looks like a puffy cloud, I'm really into. I sometimes will work from that. I actually go to hotel rooms to experience this. I'm not kidding. Sometimes if I have a really bad work week, I will make sure if I have a big project going on that I book a nice hotel with a nice fluffy pillowy bed, because I will be working there with my laptop and doing some important stuff. I love baths. That's my heaven, definitely. I love window shopping for sure. I have endless window shopping possibilities in a new country where I'm at right now, so I love it. And I also like to read or attend fashion shows. So I just put like a couple of my things that really make me happy right here. I would challenge you guys to do the same thing. What makes you happy? How can you get that and incorporate it in the work that you do? We talk a little bit about, you know, getting that autoresponder up. I actually show you how to do an IPN. An IPN is an instant payment notification. One of the things that my clients do is they pay in advance. This is exactly how we show you how to do that. And we even show you some actionable steps on how to do that. And I believe that is our fourth one somewhere. Alrighty. Well, I was going to go back to the AMP membership site. Oh, there's that email I said you can just forward to somebody when you want to. Okay, here it is. So yeah, that is the month of March, essentially. And there's a lot more to come. For April, I will tell you exactly what we got going on here. In April, we are actually talking about, oh, okay, so I don't have April. Okay, great. Oh, we're talking about promotional cycle, inspiration quotes. Okay, so we're talking a little bit more about sales for sure, and we're going to be supporting that in a way where, and even in the next coming months, we're going to be talking about a lot of cool different things. How to find your desired client, how to find that fabulous assistant. That's always something that we're going to be doing here. I want you guys to hire a virtual assistant. If you can think of taking 20 to 30 hours off of your plate and doing something like that, that by far will actually help you grow immensely. So I'm going to be encouraging you on how to find a virtual assistant. What else are we talking about? Qualitative marketing, telling your story. We're going to even talking about money and how we can leverage what you're making now and go further. There's a lot of mind stuff that goes with that, I will say. Soon you actually will be, if you are a member of socialglobalgrind.com, which is my blog, you're going to be talking a little bit more about money. I was able to interview Barbara Stanny for a podcast, who's amazing, a wealth of information about how women dissect and live with money, and what the secret is to women who make a lot of money. What's their mindset like? And we have that great conversation going on. It will be available to you really shortly, and we're going to have a bit of a money series coming up too. For people that are not paid or not paid members, you can actually access that for free too. And if you sign up for socialglobalgrind.com and get that free sign up, you'll be involved with that shortly. All right, that is it. That is time for us. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments below, or you can email me and just check out the website at socialglobalgrind.com. Thanks so much, and thanks for watching.